Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles of the Bust number 537, and today we're doing battle with Gnar Zed. And so Gnar Zed is a deck we touched on about a week ago, bringing it back up because I am planning on bringing it to the open here in a couple of days after we had that kind of shit show video in the last one with the Deathless Formidables. I felt like we needed a change, and Gnar Zed is going to be that change that we're taking into the open. But as you take a peek at our deck list, we do not play Gnar Zed in the way that you typically see on the stat tracking sites, be it runeterra.ar, Mastering Runeterra, whatever you prefer. Those sites most typically look to play Gnar Zed in the form of using a bunch of elusives. And I think that that is just dumb and it's pure garbage, if you ask me. The way I call it is half-assing a deck, to where you're trying to do too many separate things with the deck, and it doesn't really do anything particularly effectively. And so you do have some really powerful curves with the Elusives version. You play Omen Hawk on 1, you play an Omen Dog on 2, you play a Navori Conspirator on turn 3 and bounce back the Omen Hawk, then you get to replay it, then you get this nice stat boosting thing kind of going, but your opponent in their responses to this gets to kind of piece things out exactly how they want. They can focus in on your ground-based uses, your ground-based units, and then your elusives are only kind of doing half of the job, or your opponent can focus in on the elusives, and you're never going to kill anybody with a Snow Dog and an Omen Hawk. And so it doesn't really develop board states that synergize with each other, in my opinion. And so the way I like to do this is move away from the elusives, come in and include the overwhelms back in the deck, so you'll have the Ruthless Raider and the full sets of Glacial Saurions, the Tusk Speakers, and the like, so that we have this just full-on ground-based overwhelm style of board presence. And then our opponent isn't as easily able to interact with these things positively. They don't get into many of these spots to where they block your Snow Dog and then hate spike off a elusive and you just don't deal any damage. You develop more of these spots to where they block an overwhelm with a unit. They want to hate spike another overwhelm, but now they're just kind of stuck because the overwhelm damage is crashing through. And so I think, to me, the big things to call out besides just playing the overwhelms in this style of deck is we have 2 copies of the Stagehand. He is a bit of a non-bow with all of the stat boosting in the deck. If you Omen Hawk a Stagehand, it kind of sucks. If you Snow Dog a Stagehand, it kind of sucks. But there's no denying that the tempo that he brings in is exceptionally powerful, and he's so good in terms of getting your overwhelms in for damage. And so if it's, say, turn 6, we lead out with a random Tusk Speaker or something, opponent plays their 6-drop because Elder Dragon LOL. Now that we get to come in and stun that Elder Dragon unit with the Stagehand, it just gives us this incredibly nice board width and an incredibly nice tempo advantage that I've been a really big fan of. Otherwise, the only things to really call out in here is cards like Will of Ionia get double advantages playing overwhelms that you don't get with elusives. And so if we make an attack with our overwhelm units, our opponents block, we Will of Ionia away the blocker on an overwhelm, we get to do the damage now. That's not a bonus that you get out of playing the elusives, and I feel like we just get much more synergies in that style of thing as well. And so this is it. This is the deck. This is what we're doing battle with today. I checked in on the pay-to-win price, and we're all paid up. So let's go ahead and dive into battle. And so for the daily viewers, the daily followers, I do want to say this is going to be our last best of 1 video until the next patch comes out. I'm pretty done with this format. We've been playing this format for 2 months. I feel like we've explored pretty much all there is to explore, and I don't think we're going to get a ton of value out of either just replaying the old decks or just playing a bunch of meme decks or something. And so my plan for the upcoming days is we'll have this video tomorrow. I do want to jump in with a best of 3 format introduction / gauntlet kind of thing. Then we'll play the open, and then we'll be kind of done until the balance patch time comes forward. All right, but up against Seraphine Sett, this is the kind of deck that really draws me into playing something like Gnar Zed. As we've played open, after open after open after open over the course of the past year, with Karma Sett really coming out and kind of dominating, I've been very very attached to this kind of idea and style. To where we really try and attack down the opposing Karma Sett P and Z based removal style of decks. And so as our opponent comes in and spikes our unit with the Sump Fumes. If we are able to put the stat bonuses onto our units and say grow Tusk Speaker up to a 4/3, it really limits the capabilities of the opponent's removal. And so, like, it feels like we've been doing this kind of strategy over the course of the past year, to where we look to target down decks like Karma Sett, we look to target down things like Nyla Janna, come in and play against the base P and Z decks, and then just have a lot of stat boosting along the way. And the way I'm kind of feeling about this upcoming Open is we're going to be in the kind of space to where people are either going to bring their full-on Elder Dragon deck, or they're going to bring the split like we plan on doing, to where you have Elder Dragon and Morgana split apart, but you still have to have a third deck in that instance, right? And what I kind of feel like the third deck is typically going to be is Karma Sett from people that like to play control decks, or Teemo Yuumi from people that like to play aggro decks. And I think that this will leave us in kind of a good spot against all of those third decks. There's not a real clear-cut good third deck once you start moving away from the various Morgana and Elder Dragon decks. And I think we'll be in pretty good shape with that in mind. So let's see what happens here. I don't really want to play Wuju style into Seraphine if he looks to put a block with her in front of the Tusk Speaker. I was wanting to hold on to the Pokey Stick and then maybe shoot her down a turn from now, but with this big transfusion play coming in, we get a very nice Wuju style to take the big blocker off of the board, get the Pokey Stick in hand. Don't have to mess around with that stuff at this point. Hey, nice. You got for us. We really needed a unit here. I think we're gonna get stuck just pokey sticking face to try and fight through the turn. We'll see if he's dropping Sett or something weird here. I feel pretty decent about playing Will of Ionia, but doesn't look like that's gonna be the case. Not quite willing to play a Will of Ionia onto the Augmented Clock Link. So let's just send the pokey stick to the face, see if we can't pick up a 2-drop or something, and then develop an open attack for the next turn. 2-drop it is. The big boy Snow Dog rolling in. Alright, and interesting is a 1-mana Reggie. So he took Reggie off of the abandoned Clockling. It wasn't like a planned Reggie for that pokey stick to be rolling through. Now, interesting kind of space, very big sorry on here. I think we need to just be kind of pushing our lead. The thing that would be problematic here, though, is the Mega Recall, right? Whatever the Mega Recall is called. Now, I would assume that he's only playing 1 copy, but he also did just play a Reggie, which gives him a lot of opportunity to actually pick that spell up. And it's just like, how dead are we, if that's what the play is here? And I don't think I'm quite willing to just slam down the Saurion. We do still have the mana to both Battle Fury and Wuju style this turn if we need to. And so I think we're just going to take this ground-based approach, see if he casts a spell, and then if he casts a spell, it opens us up to playing Battle Furies. I don't think we want to do a preemptive Battle Fury here. It's just asking to get slammed by Concussive Palm. Alright, so he's got a back alley bar, which kind of sucks, and we really need to be ending this game on the next attack. I don't think he's really capable of flipping Seraphine and doing a ton on this upcoming turn, but if he gets to untap again, this game's just done. And a Song Spinner, sure thing. That's what the Pharaoh's Fancier created. So we should be in pretty good shape to just make a big full board open attack next turn. We can add in both the Zed and the Ruthless Raider this round, and then just not attack with the Snow Dog. We need as much Overwhelms coming in as we can, and the Snow Dog and the Gnar aren't particularly strong attacks here. Alright, you sputtered, you song spun. What you got, don't care. Taking bets on how fast he spikes that portal. I'm gonna go with immediately because that's just the way life works. And then he Mariams for mana. Interesting. I don't think there's any spells that we're really worried about at 6 mana. I mean, he clearly has some thoughts and ideas here. Just a mystic shot to the face. I don't get it. I don't think there's any punishes for just dropping Zed. Like, I would like to go into this next turn with the 11 mana, right? If we take the all of the mana into next turn, we can still Battle Fury and Will of Ionia. But this is odd. I mean, I think it's just like he just doesn't have fuck all to do. Like, the Mystic Shot makes a little bit more sense now that he's played Father Fury, right? He wanted to hit the Plunder and pick up the spell. But I think this is all fine. Bets have been placed. Immediately hit the portal. You're welcome. when was the last time that I've been wrong? I don't know, man. It was probably like 2021. Still doesn't feel like a very good play. It's not a real superstar Camaveran soldier here. Alright, here comes the Fun Time Squad. Leave the Snow Dog at home. We'll send the Gnar over the Snow Dog, right? If opponent untaps next turn, we're just dead. And so there is a world to where this Pokey Stick could be what we need to finish off the game. We just have to see if that's what the relevance is about here. But there was an interesting spot in this early game. I've been, I feel like, rushing a lot of units to the board in these games to where you don't really have a unit to play the next turn, and then you could protect that unit with a pokey stick. We were in, or I'm sorry, with a combat trick. We were in kind of a scary spot in this early game when he was shooting down our units, and we had like Battle Fury, Wuju style Elixir of Iron, and no units in hand, and then he aftershocked our Gnar. Right, when we immediately drew Gnar, that was actually quite lucky in the sense that we just didn't have any other units on board, and we were about to get stuck with this real mana-heavy hand. And so that's one of the spots I've been trying to work on and figure out a little bit more, is the kind of obvious and snap play amongst most of these games is just setting it up to where you get an open attack and then you have the mana for the combat trick. But I'm finding more and more times to where it's just a little bit better to go into the next turn, play your follow-up unit on the next turn when you have the mana for both the unit and the spell. So what's going on? Opponent cast a bunch of stuff. Looks like it doesn't matter. GG. Gotta feel good about that, right? You got the Battle Fury and the Will of Ionia in hand. But I think that kind of spot right there was one of the more excellent indications, if you will, as to why I really like these overwhelms in place of the elusives, right? As far as having an elusive on that board, if opponent has a burn spell, they can take it off, but that's the same thing that applies to overwhelm units. But when we're like coming out and attacking, and he's played like a random Father Fury, and now he puts the Father Fury in front of the elusive unit, we're just kind of done. We can't do anything else with that combat. But when we have the overwhelms and the Will of Ionias and stuff, it is kind of nice being able to make that recall play in front of a blocker to get the extra damage in and have that that kind of special combat trick, if you will. All right, into the next one, up against Garen, Galio, Elder Dragon. Garen, Galio, Elder Dragon. I thought it was initially the Shyvana, but I'm not entirely certain what we're about to get ourselves into here. But with this hand, I'm going to take the full mulligan. We're on the even attacks. I'm not really amped about attacking with a turn 4 Zed that doesn't have any stat boosts. And we need to come in and find some of our Omen Hawks and some of our Snow Dogs. This should be a more tempo-oriented game, I would think. But I don't know. I don't know what opponent's doing here. If he's doing elite stuff or if he's doing formidable stuff. You do occasionally play Garen in the Formidable's decks just as a mid-game play that heals all of your units, but I don't know. It's tough to tell. But it's a big indicator right here in the Ram Hound. We should be up against elites. Gonna run out our our freshly drawn Overwhelm. I was happy enough to add the Ruthless Raider and get the attack in. The opposing units tend to suck in this space. This Vanguard Defender is the pain point here, but they typically have stuff like Battlesmith on turn 2. There's not a ton of really problematic turn 2 plays coming out of elites, and so bit of a bummer that we got whammied there, but at the end of the day, I think this is okay. Vlad and Zed just take this hit of damage, not that big of a deal. Now we'll see if we can't set up a stagehand attack on this next turn. Don't really want to be attacking our Zed into the Badger Bear.
If we seek forgiveness, we must commit awe.
So we'll see what comes in. It should be another one of these spots to where there's not a lot of units opponent can play that can really interact with Zed, right? They have a ton of 3/3s. They don't have too many Badger Bear-sized units, and so without having any combat tricks, I feel like it was pretty important to get this Zed-based attack in, because he shouldn't have any follow-up. Alright, Zed, you're about to be done for. You're about to get boomed, my dude.
Fight or die.
Alright, we'll just take the clear on the board. This is definitely advantageous for the opponent, right? Looks like he's going to have a combat trick for the Have-It-Alls here, but, you know, the elite stack tends to have much bigger units than we do, and he's also got just Elder Dragon in here, so as we roll into turn 6, like, the game should be pretty close to done at this point, right? So what's probably going to happen here is we'll add Ruthless Raider, and he's going to play a dragon and kill one of our dudes, and now the game's just done. So we'll just go ahead and stop it here. Didn't really pick up the stat boosting that we needed. It was a little bit too unit heavy at that space. Oof. But as we do go into the open, I feel like my thoughts on the bans are definitely going to be geared towards the Elder Dragon. I think that it's just the much more problematic unit as compared to Shyvana. And so we do still have this idea that I just want to ban out the most obnoxious Shadow Isles deck. But you do run into a lot of deck lists to where they're able to play both. Like Shyvana, or sorry, Shyvana, Mordekaiser, Morgana, and then like Viego and Elder Dragon. And in those kind of cases, we'll just end up banning out Elder Dragon. But if we end up against a list that's not as Shadow Isle centric, then we'll probably just take out the Elder Dragon. All right, though, up against the old Lurk deck. Curious to see Dave Bow out here playing Lurk. This is one of these decks that it had a positive win rate against like some of the Morgana stuff. I was really curious if this was going to be a deck that brought a resurgence for the open. I can't bring myself to want to play it, but it's one of those decks that I know is a valid best of 3 contender. It's not one that I really want to have anything to do with. All right, so interesting space here. I think we're kind of stuck stagehanding. We're not going to be able to get any blocks in this turn if we don't. And our curve is just kind of fucked at this point anyways. And so I think I'm looking to just stagehand the Hatchling. If he wants to attack with the Xerxes Collar, that's fine. We'll take the block with the stagehand. I think he's probably stuck attacking, right? Like, I guess I could see a world to where if you didn't put Rek'Sai on top, or if you didn't put Pike on top, you might be able to skip. But I feel like that's the kind of prime place, especially after he just dropped the predict. Ugh.
We are at the threshold of something great.
Night stagehand, let's bring the damage.
Our purpose calls.
I thought we were coming into the 5 mana turn. I know it's tough to look at the mana thing and see and see how much mana you have. maybe this that stage hand was a little preemptive,
I know what I must
because I did think that we were going to be able to play Asari on this turn and start attacking, and that's clearly not the case. And so the doubled stage hand could have represented quite a bit of damage. More Rex size. Maybe we made a mistake there as well. Knowing that Rek'Sai is going to be coming down, she's going to come down as like a 10 this turn, and we're not going to be able to stop it. We might still be able to Battle Fury out of this, though. How much is this is going to be? Like 11, 12 from Rek'Sai? It's like 20-something. So if we play Asarion, we have to block with it. This is just a disaster. But right, see what I'm saying in terms of being able to stagehand Rek'Sai this turn? It fixes a lot of your problems, but set a lot of that up with the intent that we were going to be playing Asarion on the previous turn. I just had in my head that we had 5 mana available and we only had 4. Little whoopsies. Little whoopsies. I've been pretty happy with the stagehands today, though. Even with the stat boosts that have been dropping on them. It was quite good against the elites. It was quite good there. We just kind of fucked that game up in different ways. All right, well, let's hang on to a curve start here with the Omen Hawk and the Tusk Speaker. I don't think we want to hang on to Gnar on the odd attacks. Him not being able to do anything until turn 5 is a bit meh. Empyrean Dance making its first appearance. And Gnar says, "Fuck you! I am meant to attack on turn 5. Don't be trying to throw me away." All right, we'll skip here. All the Gnars turning up. There is some argument to make a block since we're about to start attacking with Tusk Speakers. I think I'm okay with it. I think this Omen Hawk's not doing anything else the rest of the game. He doesn't seem to have had a unit here. So if we get to open with the Tusk Speaker next turn, that's good. If he plays something dumb like Suppression, and we just have to fight for a trade, that's pretty okay as well. It's like, oh boy, it's got to be Mage Seeker Jr., isn't it? Okay. Such a horrible card. I still don't understand why people are playing this thing. Alright, Inquisitor rolls in. Do a little bit of Gnar stuff out here. See if he can't start pushing through. Just a little bit of Gnar stuff, you know. Sure. Morgana's pretty decent. You still get the good, the good Gnar attack for the turn. Probably, I'd say probably just ignores it, but makes a little bit of sense with the Petricite Hound getting a block. I would think that he probably just doesn't have Galio at this point. If he's throwing away his units like that, it wasn't a real critical piece of damage that was about to roll through. Now, a touch awkward here. We want to get Zed on board, but I think we're probably stuck just stagehanding this dragon. Now it's like he doesn't really have to play any more cards at this point. So it's like we can't get our Zed on board. I guess we're stuck actually just burning through the spells at this point. I think we're still okay though in the face of like the thing, like we have Nopify for this turn, so if he wants to play any of his spells, it should be good. Galio is the pain point, and not so much across a lot of the. Well, yeah, it's a pain point across a ton of these units if we're gonna be real. But Kind of is what it is. All right, GG.
Our work is not yet done.
I still don't understand the Mage Seeker Jr. Like, it's the thing to where, like, you have to stop and ask yourself, like, what is this card good against? And those decks just don't exist in this format. Like, you don't even want it against Karma Set. You want it against stuff like Action. You want it against Riven Morgana. But I don't think I've seen Riven Morgana since Worlds. It was like Worlds happened and everybody was like, not playing that deck anymore. Nope. Not doing anything with Riven Morgana. And so, I don't know. Like, at what point in that game did it do anything? You have the option to play relevant stuff like Loyal Badger Bear, right? You're about to enter a meta to where Teemo Yumi is very important, and you could be playing Loyal Badger Bears, or you could play a vanilla 3/3 unit. Oh, I don't know. Interesting. The 9 of you viewers out there that watch me, hopefully you've all removed removed the juniors from your deck.
I'm here in Jana's name.
What do we got happening here? It's a touch awkward with the mana. We really want to have 6 mana on this next turn, and we're only going to have 5. I think we still want to add in the Snow Dog. Like, I'm not amped about Ruthless Raider on this board. And then we'll see if we pick up a competitive unit that isn't the Speaker. The Test Speaker still would have been fine here, but the Challenger is quite good. Makes our Omen Hawk relevant, and we definitely want the landmark in the space, the Seraphine Sett style of decks. The previous guy was playing Back Alley Bar, and then it's not crazy to see stuff like Sunken Temple roll through. But here, I'm kind of done with the Snow Dog. I don't think we really need to be spending Sky Splitters to take down Mariam and protect the Snow Dog. We'll save the Snow Dog for a higher impact unit like the Saurian or the Tusk Speaker. Like the Snow Dog just getting to attack at this point feels like enough for me. Let's see if he spends that mana before we drop the excavation. Yep. It's like, this has got to be sweet if he spends the mana. If he tries to drop a Mystic Shot on somebody to tap out, but it's fairly safe to say the opponent probably has the Nopify when they see you play the Explorer and then they drop Sunken Temple. Like, I don't think anything too crazy was happening right there. But we do have this nice full board open. Send everybody in. Not going to be enough for lethal, but
Not another step.
hopefully starting to get us set up for the end game. I had to double check if Will of Ionia bounced units. It does not. It does not. Or I'm sorry, if it bounced landmarks. It's the other ones, right? It's like every other bounce spell hits landmarks, but Will of Ionia doesn't. Homecoming hits landmarks, right? I would have been pretty okay with just spending a 4-mana bounce on his Sunken Temple.
Lyrics just aren't coming to me. Time to find a muse.
All right, and kind of like that last Seraphine game, we really need to be winning the game on this next attack. I'm not real certain that we have it. Inaka is little interesting. We do have some hard to deal with units in here. We have to bounce though. I think we can send back the Barkeep. So how does this go? The blocker doesn't quite matter. Yeah, we can send back the Barkeep. I don't think he is going to be Seraphining in the middle of combat. Even if he does, it's not ultra scary. right? So like the big concern would be him playing triple spell thing, whatever it's called, Song Spinner. Song Spinner is going to be 4 spells to take Seraphine to 8. I think that we send back the Barkeep. He will get a bunch of value out of this, but it it hopefully forces in blocks with Seraphine before she can flip and do all of her nonsense. And then the other question is, do we want to Sky Split Zed before we hit? And I think we do. So that means we just have to get in with 2 units at this point, and then we still have the Elixir of Iron at home.
Time to dance.
Maybe this is incorrect, right? You can block with Seraphine now and have 4 health instead of the only 1 health out of Ferris Fancier. I just kind of assumed, though, that if Seraphine's going to block something, she can block Zed or she can block Gnar. And that's going to give them the full block anyways, since they don't have Overwhelm. But right, the idea with that Sky Splitter is assuming he ignores our worst unit, the Tusk Speaker only dealing 4 damage, he has to deal with all of our 5s at this point. So he has to have Zed, he has to have Saurion, he has to have Gnar, he has to have Living Shadow. But this is wild, just seeing the 4 spells roll across the middle. But if we leave the Zed small and try to react somewhere else, it just seems like it's a little slow. Wild seeing the 4 spells roll in, but that was the idea. If we cast the Sky Splitter first, we just need 1 spell, and then we can do it. Looks like he's doubled up on high notes. All right, well, we just have to protect Saurion here. Right? I hate this. Sky Splitter onto Zed. Concussive Palm onto Gnar, double burn onto Saurion. Okay. Should be good. I guess he has Sunken Temple with Bar. Like there's definitely a world to where he updrafted a burn spell that still counts as new. It doesn't look like it's quite there that though. All right, GG. Not a bad set of battles. We could pull this up and talk about it a little bit more. And so, I mean, I was pretty happy with how those games went. The 2 pain points that we had were against Elder Dragons, which we'll probably end up banning as the open, presents itself. The games against Karma Sett, or I guess that was Seraphine Sett, felt pretty good, right? And if the idea we have coming into the open is that the 3rd deck we're going to see a lot is just some kind of P and Z pile, be it Karma Sett, the common one, Seraphine Sett is whatever, on the aggro end of the spectrum, Teemo Yumi being the common one, but then the kind of backdoors to things like Nyla Janna. And I just really like how this style of deck plays into all of those. And so, it's tough taking a deck like this onto the ladder. Like, it carries a higher win rate than it should because it plays Zed. And Zed just gets a bunch of free wins. But with the kind of thought of what's coming up in the meta and what we plan on doing in the face of the open, I think that this is actually going to be a pretty good choice and something that complements playing Freylord Demacia as well, because I don't really want to be playing Formidables. I feel like Formidables is a deck that gets incidentally targeted based on the strength of the Morgana deck, right? So if Morgana Galio is the most popular deck, everyone is going to have that deck in mind as either a bring it and ban it or something that they're going to play against. And if they're going to play against it, then having different Formidables decks are just going to get countered by whatever people are trying to take against the main deck. And so I do like moving away from Formidables and being in this kind of space. And so hopefully it'll be in the kind of spot to where we're banning out the Elder Dragon. Ideally, we'll be banning out Elder Dragon and Morgana together. We'll be taking some kind of coin flippy matchup against what's left, and then we should have some positive matchups against what we're expecting to be the kind of P and Z crew that remains. And so Good stuff. I'm getting excited for this, getting excited for best of 3. I hope you are too, because that is going to do it for us today. So if everyone enjoyed the video, hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way, had a good time watching. This is Bustin'. We thank you for being here.